Yeah.
You know, like in particularly in the larger classes.
Mm-hmm.
So I think, yeah, I mean, I guess like,
It's kind of, I guess this is another question I had. You continued your education aiming to be a college professor, right?
yeah.
Mm-hmm. Do you feel like for future college professors they should implement more to prepare them for like students with disabilities?
So graduate level education,
Yeah.
I'm trying to get it's changing.
Yeah.
For a long time, you know, like what you're trained into as a graduate student, you're trained primarily in, you know, like how to read and research and write.
Yeah.
Teaching is just like, oh, it's this thing, you know, it's just
Yeah,
this
just
thing that
wing
you
it.
have to do.
You know everything, just
right.
wing it.
Well, like, I mean, you get thrown into a class, you know, like your first class, it's all yours. You're TAing.
Yeah.
Meaning that there's like, well, at least the school I went to, a TA meant it was your class. You were responsible for everything. Somebody came and observed you twice a semester, and that was it.
Yeah.
So there was, like I said, there was one class on how to teach, and it was mainly on
assignments. Yeah.
Right, because I mean, like, that's even more basic. Like, you know, the accommodations are the next level. Like, first you have to even know how to write an assignment in the first place.
Yeah.
And I think college programs are starting to change a little bit more because most of the jobs out here now tend to be a little more teaching focused.
Yeah.
And like disability studies is now an area that, you know, people look at. And it was not
considered
like
before.
it wasn't really even an area when I was in grad school. So I think people are paying more attention now than they did when I was in grad school.
Yeah.
And I think we probably need to be paying even more attention to it.
Yeah. I feel like definitely in the past there wasn't as many students with like disabilities, say like students on the autism spectrum going to college.
Right.
And now we are making accommodations to like assist these like high functioning, or like they don't have to be high functioning. I should probably cut that out in the interview, but like anybody with disabilities. But
I mean, I think, like, you know, we're realizing that just because people don't always fit like the, you know, like the norm.
Yeah.
That's not the right way to say it.
And I know what you mean.
Well, no, like education doesn't need to be as inflexible as it has been.
Yeah.
You know, like people learn differently, and that doesn't mean you shouldn't be in college. It just means like, hey, you learn differently.
Yeah.
And that's totally fine. Like it's actually helpful. I mean, I think it is to have students who learn differently in a class.
Yeah.
Because different people take different things away from material. They approach projects differently. And if everybody, you know, like if everybody is neurotypical, you don't get that. You don't get the people who are approaching things differently and offering really fun viewpoints.
Okay, my last question is there any suggestions you could give to new teachers or even professors preparing to teach teach a diverse range of learners, including those with disabilities?
I mean, I would say, advice would I give? I'm trying to think what that is. Like, it's not, it can be more work to go in and adapt things, which sometimes when you're dealing with a whole lot of students can be like, okay, that's, you know, it's just one more thing to do. But like, don't lose sight of the, how do I say, don't lose sight of like the richness that comes when you've got a diverse class. Like there's more, I don't know. It's just, it's a much richer teaching experience and a learning experience, I think, for everyone involved.
It might be more difficult at the beginning of your teaching career, but in the long run, like adapting to these students will make it a lot more, like you said, enriching.
Yeah, and I think, you know, as time goes on, we're gonna have like, education, we're gonna continue to adapt to, you know, to have more and more diverse learners
Yeah.
here. So figuring out how to, you know, how to make everybody feel at home and how everyone can learn from each other,
Yeah.
I think is really beneficial.
Okay. All right. Well, thank you so much.
You're welcome. Is this one? It's a you stop. Is that